Welcome to Sunshine Cathedral's Queer God Squad. It's Friday, August 8th, 2025. I am Bishop Darrell Watkins, the senior minister here at the Sunshine Cathedral. With me today is my husband, Bishop Robert Griffin, and joining us is Reverend Kevin Tisdall. We are the Queer God Squad. Visit sunshinecathedral.org to learn more about us. Queer God Squad was created by Hotspots Happening Out to support our mission to explore the value of faith in the LGBTQ community. There's no other progressive queer religious panel discussion show like this in the whole world. You can support this program by liking and sharing it.
In 2025, we are celebrating the 40th anniversary of Hotspots magazine, the 5th anniversary of Queer News Tonight with nearly 10,000 stories and 10 million views in 2024. We produced the 25th anniversary of Stonewall Pride, and we will produce Pride Fed Diversity Pride in August, and Pride Fort Lauderdale next February.
We are the largest nonprofit LGBTQ media organization in America, and we encourage you to support our mission to inform, entertain, and educate our community and allies. This is the Sunshine Cathedral Perspective. Queer God Squad acknowledges the world's first openly lesbian bishop. Eva Brunne is a significant figure in the history of the Church of Sweden, a national church in the Lutheran tradition. Bishop Brunne is primarily known for being the world's first openly lesbian bishop. Born in 1954, her journey within the church culminated in her consecration as Bishop of Stockholm in 2009. This appointment marked a pivotal moment not only for the LGBTQ plus community, but also for the broader discussion on inclusion and diversity within the churches across the world. Her episcopacy was characterized by a commitment on social justice and inclusion theology. Bishop Brunne consistently advocated for the rights of marginalized groups, emphasizing the church's role in promoting equality and compassion. Her leadership challenged traditional interpretation and pushed for a more open and welcoming church environment. While her appointment sparked debate, it also solidified the Church of Sweden's progressive stance on LGBTQ plus issues, settling a precedent for other denominations globally. Her legacy continues to inspire conversations about faith, identity, and religious leadership. Well, go Bishop Eva, and go Sweden. I think her, I remember when her appointment did happen and how it kind of just broke news literally around the world. And when they did some of the articles about her life and kind of upbringing in the church, Lutheran church, and what it meant for her and her family, this kind of cultivated her life work. It wasn't something that she thought she would ever aspire to or even be, but it really brought her into the forefront of what it meant to be a queer leader, not only for a denomination, but also as being the world's first openly lesbian bishop. If Reverend Dr. Ann Atwell was here, she would say, kudos for women and also for the church as a whole. And I think this is important for us to remember that these things did not happen overnight, that churches had to go through a process of understanding what it meant to be accepting to all people, regardless of their gender or how they identified, but more importantly for a religious denomination to go through this and break the ceiling to say, we're going to do this regardless of what other conservatives might say. This is what's best for our church and what's best for our denomination, and became an example for that around the globe.
European churches are, not globally, well, maybe not in the global south as much right now, but across the Western world, surely, churches in massive decline. And the U.S. was a holdout for a long time. But even now, in the last, I think, 50 years, the U.S. has dropped from 90-something% church attendance to 60-something% church attendance. Even 10 years ago, when it was in the 70s, we thought, well, that's pretty low, but that's rock bottom. Nope, still lower, 67%. And part of that, there's lots of reasons for that. But in Europe, even more. I think in some European countries, it's down to 4% of regular, but a lot of those churches have state funding. A lot of those churches are billions of years old, so they're basically museums that people will pay to go see. You certainly want your wedding there. Orchestras want to do their concerts there. So the churches are still viable and important. They're historical, they're for art and architecture, very, very important, but not so much for weekly worship. And so when that's where you are, it sort of frees you up, I think, to be bold. It's like, nobody comes anyway. We may as well do the right thing. Like if we weren't going to do the right thing because we were afraid people would punish us, well, nobody cares anyway. So we may as well do the right thing. And so you do see globally, every once in a while you'll see some, in Africa or Asia, and it's really a bold, step up. But in Europe, more and more, you're seeing women in leadership. You're seeing gays and lesbians affirmed in all levels of leadership. So that this is Christianity's chance, really, to be relevant again. And that it would be a Lutheran church, that's very exciting. Lutheranism with their theses and, and their starting the Protestant Reformation, that this idea of reform and challenging the status quo and doing what you think is right, even when the powers that be are against you. That's very Lutheran, And so I'm glad that there's this Lutheran bishop standing for Reformation, for Protestant values, and showing the church, even if it's changed, even if it's different, even though it comes anymore, even if without government assistance we couldn't even pay the bills, even if that's where we are, it's still not too late to make a difference. It's still not too late to matter, to offer a life-changing, life-affirming, justice-seeking witness. And so good on that. And I don't have metrics to verify this yet, but it wouldn't surprise me if that move didn't show some sort of uptick in either women or queer involvement in the church. If not weekly worship, then in activities and charitable work and that sort of thing. So anyway, good on her. Good for the global witness of inclusivity, of helping Christianity be what it can be, and which is something better than sometimes it has been. But that's the Protestant witness. That's the Lutheran witness, and so I think that's very much on brand. I'm glad she's where she is.
I looked at the year she was born, 1954, and thought, oh my gosh, so old. And then I said, wait a minute, she's only a year older than me. She grew up, well, come on, somebody has to laugh, right? She grew up during a time when the whole world, Europe especially, was recovering from World War II. She grew up during a time when there was a wall between Germany, East Germany and West Germany. So she saw all of that, and she grew up during a time when women were still being oppressed all over the world. Women's rights had not come to the forefront yet she persevered. She was able to grow up in her church. She was able to become a leader in her church. And because of what she did and does, the world is a better place. The world sees that there is no difference in the sexes when it comes to understanding our walk with God. And for her to be able to show us this, I think it's just wonderful.
And Scandinavia has often been, especially in the 20th century, or after World War II anyway, and now in the 21st century, has been sort of the leader in progressive living. I mean, they're the ones that, that have, like in the Netherlands, they were sort of the leader of choice when it comes to end of life stuff. That if you're terminal, that you and your doctor can decide together, do you want to keep fighting it, or do you want to, with dignity and comfort, leave this world? They've been the ones to have women in government and high-ranking positions. Earlier, they've been the ones to affirm LGBTQ rights. Earlier, I believe one of the first highly publicized gender confirmation surgeries happened in Denmark. And so Sweden and Denmark and Iceland and the Netherlands and Finland, these are places that value quality of life. They're the places that child mortality is less than most other places, where illiteracy almost doesn't exist, where happiness indices are high, because if you can go to college for a little or nothing, if you're guaranteed, dignity and heating and food and in your old age, if you can go to the doctor whenever you need to for a little or nothing, that what's to not be happy?
Yeah.
So these are countries that care about people, they care about their people, they care about quality of life, they care about equity and inclusion and fairness, and so it doesn't surprise me that Sweden would be one of the countries where this happened. It would be far more surprising. Well, it was surprising when in the Episcopal Church of the United States, there was a woman bishop for the first time in the late 80s. And it was a huge controversy. And, you know, they were weeping and wailing and gnashing of teeth and so much ugly. And so because that was surprising. It would be even more surprising today, I think. Although Episcopal Church, I think, has more women bishops, especially per capita, than any other denomination right now. So yay for that. But though that this came from Scandinavia is way less surprising than, say, if it had come from Uruguay or Taiwan or other places. So because they have or United States. So yeah, it has. Scandinavia has been. Now, the Episcopal Church also had a woman presiding bishop, also, as has the Disciples of Christ. The Universal Foundation for Better Living has had only women heads of communion. MCC has, except for the founder, only had women's head of communion. So it's not unheard of. But that this example comes out of Sweden, out of Scandinavia, is sort of on brand. And I just wish we could all follow their example of just caring about people and wanting everyone to be happy and have their needs met, instead of trying to figure out ways to keep that from happening for people.
Amen.
So God bless Sweden, and maybe we'll follow their lead a little bit more. That's today with the Queer God Squad.
Before we go, I invite you again to like and share this episode on your social media. And I also welcome you to find Sunshine Cathedral on Facebook or Instagram.
You can also like our bishop pages on Facebook. My page is Bishop Robert Griffin, D-Min, and Darrell's is Bishop Darrell Watkins, D-Min. We're also on TikTok. Remember to visit sunshinecathedral.org frequently. There you will find Bishop Talk, where Bishop Darrell and I interview queer religious leaders from around the world, activists and scholars. We've also had a weekly lectionary discussion that you can find on the website and on the other socials.
Thank you for joining the Queer God Squad today. We're here daily at 3 p.m. to have some fun and to discuss what our LGBTQ community is talking about. Sunshine Cathedral is the world's leading progressive queer church. Progressive, queer, and God are words that naturally should go together. Remember that we are all in this together, and also remember you are God's miracle, not God's mistake. Until next time, we are the Queer God Squad. Goodbye.